Welcome back, family, and if you're new here, I'm Gerald, and you'll meet my wife Simone in a second. Today we're going to be getting our first round of seeds started for the veggies that we plan on using in our juice business this year. We'll also be getting some veggies started for our home garden that we just finished preparing last week. Yeah, last week. That seemed forever ago. Now, I believe that there are two foundational principles that you have to get right if you want good, healthy transplants for a good garden harvest. And those two things are good soil and good seed. We're going to start with the soil, so let's go ahead and grab our wheelbarrow, a couple other tools, and then I'll show you this real quick and easy process to make some... What are you doing? To make this top-notch seedling soil. Here I go, leaving my tools again, trying to get cinematic shots and whatnot. But I left my tools all the way in the garage. The tools I have to grab are my sifter and a shovel. I already got the wheelbarrow. In order to know what makes good soil to sow seeds into, it's great to know the bad ways to sow seed first. And what better place to learn than in the Word? So in Matthew 13, the parable of the sower, we see 3 bad ways to sow seed. We see that some seeds fell by the wayside and the birds came and ate them up, which could translate to just throwing out seed onto the ground, like broadcasting them. We see that some seed fell on stony places and couldn't get good roots, so the sun burned them up, and that can be translated to compacted, hard, rocky soil with obstructions. And we see that some fell among the thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them out, which means that they had too much competition. So how do we sow good seed? We have to intentionally sow it into loose, fluffy soil without threat of competition from other plants. So the first place that I go to get this type of soil for my seeds is the place in nature where I know I should be able to find it abundantly. Now, how do I know where to find it? Well, let me show you. I never get tired of this. I mean, look at this. I mean, that is dream soil right there. Dream soil. And it's so easy to get soil like that too, like to have it in your own garden. It's another very simple principle at work there, right? From dust you came, to dust you shall return. Anything that comes out of the ground, compost and return back into the ground. All of these trees pull up the necessary materials out of the ground to grow and to put out leaves. And then at the end of the year, they drop all of those leaves. And unfortunately, sometimes they fall over too. They compost and turn into this. So if you just mimic what God has creation do and put down a lot of leaves or organic material in your garden, you'll get soil this healthy too. It's going to happen. It has to happen. Because that is how He ordained things. It's the truth. And that's just one simple principle. Take any of God's principles and apply them, and they will work, because they have to work. See, just by understanding the principles of God, you can anticipate and learn about where to find things or how to get things. Now, there's still going to be a bit of debris in the soil, so I have my sifter to put the soil into, shake it up, and then, get all the little extra twigs and sticks or roots or whatever else might be, in there that could interfere with the development of the seedlings. Now, don't use 100% of this scavenged soil. I'll use about 30 to 50% of this soil, and then I'll fill the rest with this potting soil that I like to use. You can use really any type of potting soil, but this one here is definitely my favorite. Now I'm about to mix it with some potting soil. And this is my favorite potting soil. Happy Frog. I really enjoy Happy Frog But for seedlings, it's a little bit mulchy, has some bigger twigs and sticks and stuff. So that's part of why I have this sifter here, to get some of that bigger stuff out of there. Part of why I love this soil so much, you can see it's a little gray and fuzzy, and it might look like something wrong with it, but that's actually a really good sign, because Happy Frog soil has lots of good microbes and fungi, a lot of beneficial stuff for your plants. But you can see like the little twigs and stuff in here I'm talking about. Not good for your little seeds. I really should get a mesh that's a lot finer in here. I think this is like maybe 1/2 inch mesh. I'm not entirely sure. It's just a little too big. Some of the bigger pieces are still falling through. This would definitely benefit from a lot finer mesh, but this does the job. Now usually I would also mix in a good amount of worm cast from my vermicompost bin too, but I didn't have time to really get into that this year, so we're just going to have to make do without it. But worm cast, vermicompost would be a great addition to this as well. And there really isn't a set amount that you have to use of worm cast. You can use as much or as little as you like. You could grow in 100% vermicompost if you want to. Wouldn't really be good use of it, but you could. Now that is some good seedling soil. All of the trays and cells and stuff that I use, I'll link down in the description. I will let you know that the cells that I use here are very expensive. However, they are extremely durable and will last years and years. So they will save you money in the long run, but they are pretty expensive upfront cost for seed cells. They're modern grower cell trays, and aside from them being very durable, they've also given me like the best root development in seed trays that I've ever had by far. Like, I don't know how they designed them, but they work really, really well. Now, if you're going to be reusing your cell trays like I do with these, then you want to make sure that you disinfect them before you use them again. So yesterday, before I got started, I went ahead and used some bleach to disinfect it all. I want to use about 1 tablespoon per gallon of water that you use to disinfect them. Let them soak for a little while, rinse them off good, and then you're ready to go. It also helps to put them all in a larger container instead of doing a bunch of different rounds in a 5-gallon bucket. I don't know if you guys can see or have seen, but I keep getting down while I'm scooping these up, and I'll check the bottom of it. Now sometimes when you fill up your seed blocks and stuff, each cell will only be like half full, and it'll be a bunch of air in the bottom half, and like you won't know until you start putting seeds in or something, and you can like push on the soil a little bit and it'll just collapse. So I just keep checking the bottom of them to make sure that the entire thing is full of soil. Now before any seed is planted into the soil, you should always make sure that the soil is pre-moistened. I'll usually do it while it's still in a larger container like the wheelbarrow. That way you can gauge more if it needs more or less water. You don't want it to be running out of your hands if you squeeze it. You just want it to kind of be like a damp sponge, or maybe a little bit more wet than that. But I didn't do that, so I'm just filling up the trays and pre-watering everything. I'm going to let it soak overnight, and then tomorrow we're going to go ahead and start planting the seeds into it. Alright guys, we're back. Simone's here this time now.
Hi.
We're getting ready to put the seeds in. It's a nice day, so we're going to move this table outside and do it in the driveway day near, because the sun out ain't no wind.
It's just not that nice.
It is nice. It ain't like it was yesterday.
I mean, I don't have a coat on, but it's not that nice.
It's nice. The sun out ain't no wind.
Where is the sun?
The sun out ain't no wind. Anyway, we finna put these seeds in here. Hey.
What?
That way. We're gonna take it to the lake. Talking about the sun ain't out. Look like it's out to me. The what? Oh, that's what I was trying to figure out. You just...
What? How did you get in there?
It's pretty hard to start seeds when you leave your seeds in the house. If you haven't noticed by now, I forget and leave things all over the place. Oh, look. We got her back. Thank you, Lord. Now, when it comes to sowing good seed, again, what better place to look than in the Word? The Word says that seed should be able to produce after its own kind, and also not to sow your field with mingled seed. Isn't it interesting how much God has to say about growing and gardening? Now, what does seed after its own kind mean? Simply put, I mean, if I put a tomato in the ground, tomatoes should come up. If I put zucchini in the ground, zucchini should come up. Sowing your field with mingled seed will not give you seed after its own kind. For example, if I plant a zucchini and also plant a watermelon close to it, those two are not of the same species. They're in the same family, but not the same species. So they can cross-pollinate, and if I take seed from that watermelon or I take seed from that zucchini and I plant it, who knows what's going to come up? Something random is going to come up from that seed. It's not going to be that watermelon that I got the seed from, and it's not going to be that zucchini that I got the seed from. It's going to be some weird combination hybrid of the two. Now, does that mean that hybrid seed is bad? Not necessarily. The hybrid seed that you'll get from like a seed catalog or something is, look at all of these deer. Oh my goodness. Dang. Hold on. Y'all look at all of these deer. Hold on. Y'all missed like 15 of them. Let me see if I can go. Oh my gosh. Dang. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't think y'all can see that. I'm not joking. Probably a good 50 to 60 deer were just running across the property. They look like whole stampede. I done forgot what I'm talking about. Man, I'm mad I missed getting them for y'all. That was the most deer I think I'd ever seen in my life. But, okay, what was I talking about? Hybrid seeds. Yeah, the hybrid seeds that you'll buy from your, sorry, I keep thinking about these deer. The hybrid seeds that you'll buy from your seed catalog are of the same species, right? So I love sun gold cherry tomatoes. All that is, if I plant a sun gold cherry tomato seed, tomatoes will still come up. What makes the sun gold cherry a hybrid is because one of its parents is one species of tomato and the other parent is a different species of tomato. So it just brings out a different variety of offspring. And when I plant that sun gold cherry tomato seed, tomatoes will still come up out of the ground. Now they won't be sun gold cherry tomatoes. They'll be something different, but they'll still be tomatoes. Some hybrids don't even produce viable seed anyway. So to avoid any type of confusion or anything, just buy heirloom seeds, period. Especially if you intend on saving your seeds, which everyone should be doing if you're paying attention to anything. I recommend that you only plant one variety of whatever it is you want to save. So if you want to save a certain type of tomato, only plant that tomato variety that year. If you want to save a certain type of zucchini, only plant that zucchini variety that year. Make sense? If it's heirloom, you will get that exact same variety every time. I'm walking back to the garage because I forgot my seeds again. My favorite seed companies to use are Fedco Seeds, Seeds Now, and MI Gardener Seeds, with Fedco being my absolute favorite. So today we're only going to be doing like 4 or 5 different types of seeds. It's still kind of early, so the only things to really starts for right now are like peppers, onions, and celery. We'll start with celery, and I think I'm going to do just 1 tray of celery, but I'm going to show you why. Do you have chapstick on you? This little stanky chapstick.
Just use your finger and just dab.
It's still gonna stink. No, it smells like Play-Doh. Throw that away.
That sound too.
Y'all, look how little these celery seeds are. Ah! Now, as y'all just saw, celery seeds are tiny, so a couple gonna fall into each cell anyway. I like having multiple in each cell because one, if you only plant one seed per cell and something doesn't germinate, well, you have a bunch of wasted space. But two, sometimes people like to say to thin if you have multiple sprouting in each cell. I leave them. I can get anywhere from 2 to 3 celery per cell, and I'd split them apart when it's time to plant. So I can double and even triple the amount of plants that I can have without having to double or triple the amount of equipment that I need. I do this for a lot of seeds, not just celery either. As you see, I've just been sprinkling the celery seed on the surface of the soil. Celery needs light to germinate. You do not want to cover it with any amount of soil. You just want to make sure that the celery seed never dries out. You have to baby them a bit. The variety we're planting here is called Tango celery from Fedco, and this celery did great for us last year. It has a really nice flavor to it, so I decided to run it back. Simone planted the peppers. She planted some jalapeno peppers from in my gardener, and she also planted some cayenne peppers from in my gardener as well. The germination rate on peppers can be kind of finicky, so she also planted about 2 to 3 seeds per cell here as well. You do not have to, nor do you want to sow your seeds in cells deep at all. You can sow them very close to the surface and just put a light covering of soil over the top of them, as long as you make sure that the soil never dries out. That'll speed up the rate at which they pop up and increase their germination rate. Now I plan on saving some onions this year, so I planted some Elsa Craig onions, and those will be the only ones going in. I got these from Fedco, and just like the celery seeds, I'm planting multiple per cell, and I'll just separate them when it's time to plant. Simone went in to make us some lunch. And I'm finishing up these onions. Let me tell y'all something about these onions. If I can't get these to grow this year, I'm going to be very, very upset. Since I started gardening 6 years ago now, something like that, I have yet to have a successful onion crop. I can grow everything else. Onions, for whatever reason, are the biggest challenge of all time. I don't know what it is. I have no clue. So, this year is like, I ain't gonna say make or break, but I'm going like all in on onions. If every single thing that I plant this year dies, if onion grows, I'll be happy. I just don't know what it is.
Black.
What are you talking about? Yo, this is the most spoiled cat of all time. Look at this fool. This why he's so fat. Not have a grow room or anything, so we're just using like this spare bedroom. I want to have like a little greenhouse or something at some point here really soon, at least by the end of the year. That's my hope anyway. But this room will do for now. I still have to go out and buy like a couple, that's not nearly big enough. I do have to buy like some shelving and stuff and then buy some lights. And I have time because these seeds will take quite a while to germinate. It'll probably take a couple weeks before these start popping. 2-3 weeks at least, I'm thinking anyway. That's about how long it took for them last year. So I'll leave them in this room. Have to make sure you have a good temperature on your seedlings. You can get a little heat mat to put underneath them. Kind of like this here. You can get a heat mat. Or you can just make sure that your room stays really warm. You can put some heaters in the room, or you can turn some heat on in the room, something like that. I'm just gonna turn the heat on in this room. We have climate controls or whatever, so I can just turn it on in this room. So I'll make sure that this room stays somewhere between like 70 to 75, somewhere in there. And over the course of the next month to month and a half, it's really getting into seed starting season, so this is just the very beginning. I have a ton more seeds to start. If there is anything that you would like to see me cover more in depth when it comes to seed starting or anything, you can drop a comment. Let me know if it's something you missed. Let me know if it's something you want to see. And I can make another more in-depth video on it. You can also check out my gardening page. I'm going to get posting again on there here in the next month or so you can wait for it there as well. But yeah, we have a couple exciting projects coming up soon. The fence people should be here this week on Wednesday, so we're really excited about that for sure. We've been waiting on that for a long time. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, I can't wait for that either. Yeah. But also we have a few inside home projects too that we're working on. Some things with the guest bathroom that we've already redone. You guys will see that. And then we're also starting the powder bath, which I am very excited for too. So
yeah. That mug been sitting back there.
Just sitting. We don't even use that bathroom. So it's time.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that stuff too.
Yep. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Peace.